Amy Rich with amyrich.net. I feel like it's been forever since I've been sharing here on YouTube and Rumble. And I just want to thank you for joining me. I'm so excited to share the Encircled in Nature. Today, it is March 5th, 2024. And the new online exclusive products from Stampin' Up! Have been released. Remember that happens, new products there in the online store every March, July, and November. And I look forward to it every time because the products are phenomenal, just like the ones in Stampin' Up's catalog. So this new product is outdoorsy, but yet beautiful. And I'm going to show you a really fun card today, I think. It comes with the stamp set and then coordinating dies. And you can use these dies in all different ways. I'm actually only going to use the one die today, but I am going to use a few of the stamps in the stamp set for our card, and you're going to love it. We're only going to use 3 pieces of cardstock. This piece of crumb cake measures 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. Basic black 4 by 5 1/4, and you can see those measurements on the screen. And then 4 1/4 by 11 for our card base, which I have scored in half at 5 1/2, and that is ready to go. So I'm going to set that aside because we won't need that right away. And oh my goodness, we do have 4 pieces. I almost forgot. We have a piece of Fluid 100 watercolor paper, and that is found in the annual catalog. You can see the order number below. That is a very important piece. I almost forgot it. I can't believe that. We are actually going to start there with that piece. I'm going to clear the deck here so that I can get right to this. And we are going to use 3 colors, Daffodil Delight, Pumpkin Pie, and Melon Mambo. And we're going to use some of our blending brushes to apply ink to this 3 5/8 inch square of Fluid 100 watercolor paper. So I'm just going to, I want to get this Daffodil Delight kind of bold. And so I'm just going to keep going over it until it looks the way I want it to. And I'm not going to be afraid to go up a little bit higher because we will be sharing some space with the other colors. And you can see I'm getting ink on my glass mat, and that's just fine because it'll wipe up perfectly when I'm done here. All right, Pumpkin Pie is next. So I'll go in, and I do have lots of blending brushes. If you're able, it's nice to be able to use one color on each blending brush. It's not always possible, but it is nice to be able to do that. And then I'm going to go with the last color, which is Melon Mambo. And again, I've got a separate blending brush. If you don't or aren't able to use a different color blending brush or a different color on each brush, I would go like light green, dark green, light blue, dark blue, you know, separate them that way. Okay, so here I've got what's going to end up to be a sunset. And I want to get those colors really blended in. So I'm going to take my spritzer, and it comes, I believe, in a pack of 2. And I'm going to spritz here so that those colors really blend together. And it's okay if it gets a little runny. And we're just going to set that off to the side to dry. And if it's not quite dry when we're ready for it, then I'll just take my heat tool to finish the process. But I've got my towel here. I've got my chamois. This is the cleaning cloth for the Glass Mat Studio. I see some adhesive on there too. And then I'll just go back with my towel and dry that up. Okay, so now we're gonna go, and I'm sorry about the glare on here. It's just better in this case not to have anything on my Glass Mat Studio while I'm working. All right, so then I'm gonna take that 3 7/8 by 5 1/8 piece of crumb cake cardstock, and I'm going to take this round branch, not round branch, but you know what I mean. It's bent into a circle. And my Memento ink. And I'm going to stamp this. And there is an opening here, and that's going to be important when we're ready to die cut that. But we're going to add that so that the opening is in the upper left, and it looks like this. Okay, then we are going to bring in the dies. Now the dies are super cool. You're going to love this. Maybe I shouldn't put it on the wet paper. Okay, so the dies have this little notch on it. The notch goes in the opening of the branch, and you'll be able to see that those little parts that stick out of the branch fit right into the die if you do it right. Okay. What's also cool is there is an outside section that you can cut out the outside of the branch all at the same time. So it is like an actual ring that you can cut out. For my purposes, for this card, I am simply going to cut out the center. And to do that, I'm going to grab my plates for my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, which I call the Big Boss. And we're going to add plate number 1, plate number 2, plate number 3, and then I'm going to add my paper here. And you can use washi tape or a sticky note to adhere that on there so it doesn't move. And then plate number 3 again, a second plate number 3. And then you're going to run that through the Big Boss. And because the magic of television is so awesome, here is what we get when we cut out that center. And then the piece that comes out of it, I don't know if I'll be able to find a use for that, but it's very interesting. All right, so here we've got our piece that is needing one more thing, in my humble opinion, and that would be embossing. And when I was designing this card, I thought the Timber 3D embossing folder, which is one of our oldest folders, is actually the one I wanted to use. And so when I put this in the folder, Stampin' Upside Up, I am going to line up the edge of that piece with the line on that front part of the folder. And then I am going to run that through the Big Boss again. This time it's plate 1. And then because it's a 3D embossing folder, then we just do the embossing folder next. And then we have this gray plate that is plate 4. And then we're going to run that through. And this is what it looks like when we get that far. So that's pretty cool. This is still pretty wet, and we are going to need that. So I'm going to get out my heat gun, and we are going to heat that up really quick to dry it in a little more timely manner. What's super cool about this Glass Mat Studio is that it is heat resistant. So we can use our heat tool directly onto the surface without having to worry about ruining anything. And it is pretty dry now, so let me just wipe this off one more time. Okay, and now we're ready to roll. Bringing in that 4 by 5 1/4 basic black cardstock, we're now going to adhere our really pretty scene. Well, not quite yet. Hold that thought. But we want to kind of make sure it's going to be spaced right when we do add it. So I think that's going to be fine. And we're going to do all of the stamping of the trees and such before we adhere it. So I'm going to bring this down and we're going to add some of our trees. What I love about the Encircled in Nature is it's got this curved treescape that we can use to fit right inside that imagery or that circle. So, you know, I'm kind of going to check things out. I'm I'm just gonna guess. You could totally like pencil mark it and stuff like that. I'm just going for it. All right, so we've got that, which is really cool. And then we have a single tree as well. So I'm gonna add that single tree. And we'll get that black out and use it this way. Tuxedo Black Memento ink. Gotta love it. All right, so then we're gonna add our trees. We're gonna add one here. We're gonna add another one here. And I guess we could have done that while it was on here. And then we're gonna add a couple more things. The other two stamps that we're gonna add, we're actually gonna wait until we have this put together. Then we can see exactly where it needs to go. So we're gonna add adhesive to the back of our Fluid 100 watercolor paper. I'm just gonna lightly leave it in place while I check this out. Okay, I can keep bringing that down a little bit. Like I said, if you wanted to, I could have marked the paper lightly with a pencil to do it that way. But I think this is gonna work just fine. Okay, so once we have this figured out where we want this to go, then I'll just adhere that down. And then we're going to actually adhere this with some Stampin' Dimensionals. So we'll just add a few, and by a few, I mean a ton. Everywhere. I do not like my paper like this to sink. And let me tell you, when I ran the crumb cake through with the embossing folder, it just softened up those fibers a little bit and is a little bit more prone to sinking. So look, I'm going a little bit crazy here. The other thing you could do, which I didn't, obviously, is use our foam strips, and then you could have probably covered more ground that way. But I'm never shy when I'm using Stampin' Dimensionals. I know what I like, and I like a lot of them. All right, so then we're going to add this where we want it so that we have that nice black border around it. And now we can go back in and finish our stamping. So you can see now how it was probably easier to get that on there to finish the stamping. And that's what we'll do. So Here For You is going to go on there. And there's just enough space as planned. And then we'll add the moon and the stars. And we'll just put that right up here at the top. Oop, I covered up a little here. It was hard to see, in my defense. Okay, so we've got the Here For You. And then I'm just gonna take some linen thread and I'm gonna wrap it around multiple times. And then I'll trim that off so I can tie it in a little bow. And finally, we will add that to the card. Don't be shy with adhesive. We'll fix this up a little bit here too, so it's not going crazy. And then we'll add that flat onto our card base. Super pretty, isn't it? So I love that watercolor look, and just the beautiful sunset that we can create using this amazing and incredible new Encircled in Nature bundle. And of course you can get it in just the stamp set or just the dies, but the bundle makes the most sense, doesn't it? Thank you for joining me today for another great project. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a thing or two, and I hope you're excited about those new online exclusive products. Please don't forget to subscribe here so that you don't miss a thing or a single video tutorial. I have a few great ones planned for you. I will see you again really soon.